Hello, I'm Simulated Irk and welcome to another episode of Simulated Irk Train Sim World. On the last episode we did a complete trip on Amtrak between Providence and Boston in the morning peak hour. A few small issues with speed aside, we did pretty well. I was pretty happy. I was full of pride with how I went, considering the constraints that I was under. So that was pretty cool. And then towards the end of the episode, we went as a passenger on a ride on an MBTA service. But today on this episode, what we will be doing, we'll be doing an afternoon peak hour service in the reverse direction, thankfully not going in reverse, from Boston to Providence on the MBTA. So what that should mean some more stops. We only stopped a couple of times on the previous episode, the Amtrak service between Providence and Boston. We're due to leave Boston just before 5 PM and it should take us about an hour and 16 minutes. There's lots of action across Simulated Irk. Trains and trams on Thursdays, buses and trucks on Tuesdays, flight simulators on Fridays. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and then that way you won't miss a thing. There's lots of episodes coming up, lots that are planned, and lots of trains from around the train sim world, the train simulator world. And there's even a new train simulator sim that I'm debating about, but we'll see how we go. So don't forget, strap yourself in, simulatedIrkgaming.com, Simulated Irk on YouTube, trains on Thursdays on Simulated Irk. Thanks for watching, take your seats, and it's about time for the train to depart. Alright, so we are back. Welcome to Boston South Station. Drive this service westbound to Sloughton before driving the service back to Boston South. Okay. Oh, we're in OK 1069. Alright, unlock doors. So we haven't done anything yet. All we've done is opened the passenger doors. And that's all we've done so far. Okay, 1069. Lock our doors. Reverser to forward. Automatic brake to release. And apply some power. It's going to take a little bit of time for the brakes to come off. And we're slowly moving, but we're moving. Very slow speed out of Boston. Now I don't know why, but I had some issues when I was trying to record earlier in relation just to get the train to move, and I was doing everything that I could think of that just the train wouldn't move. So we don't need to spend 15 minutes watching me do fault finding. No one needs to see that. Let's hear a bit of horn, shall we? Headlights on, yep. Because sometimes in these scenarios you don't know what they've set you, how they've set you up, and how they haven't. So we've got a speed limit of 10 miles an hour. We're doing 8 miles an hour at the moment, so there's not much more we can do there. Speed limit's just gone up to 15 miles an hour. So we're just got the throttle at idle, we're just coasting. Speed limit's gone up to 30 miles an hour. It's not reflected on the HUD yet, as we've mentioned before. Sometimes there's a bit of a difference between when the HUD says you can speed up and when the train actually says you can speed up. We can go a little bit faster now. I was a little bit surprised at the end of the last episode. We actually caught a train like this to Boston Back Bay, and we were in the passenger carriage right behind the loco, and we couldn't hear much at all, which was a little bit surprising. Now we won't want to go much faster than this because we do have a speed limit still, and the station's coming up soon. Okay, so here's our station. Put some brake on now, but not much. Now we can start to apply a little bit more brake. coming in nicely. Alright, so I'll load our passengers. Maybe we should turn our gauge lights on. There we go. Alright, we've loaded our passengers. Our passenger doors will be locked in a moment. Alright, brakes off. Brakes are starting to come off, and we'll be able to power out of here. Now, I've never driven a diesel loco, but from what I know, they like to be powered gently out. Takes them a while to get up to speed. So we're in an underground section, so there's not a lot to, or a enclosed area, which would probably be more to the point. Not much really to see at this point. So even though we have a 160 zone coming up, no need to get excited for that, because we do have a station to stop at in 1.5 Ks. Station's coming, so throttle down quickly. Let's get our brakes on. Lots more brake on. Let's have a look outside, and we've got, oh, we've made it on. We didn't stop the loco on the platform. We didn't stop the loco on the platform, but all the passenger carriages are on the platform, which is the main thing. Under normal circumstances, of course, they want you to get the loco on the platform as well, but considering how we came in, I'll take that. So So we're just waiting to load up our passengers. Alright, doors will be locked. Hyde Park next, gotta wait for the brakes to come off. So the brakes are slowly coming off. Hyde Park in almost 10 kilometres. Which is a place we haven't had to stop at yet. So our speed limit is 90 miles an hour at the moment. Alright, we're in the 8 notch. Let's go. So we're coming up to 50 miles an hour. Our speed limit is 90 miles an hour. It'll take some time to get up to that speed. We're going especially well considering all the snow and everything. We've just hit Train Sim World 2 level 25. $70 miles an hour now. So we're obviously not stopping all stations. That's a long platform. So there's a change of speed limit 80, we're doing 77, so We'll throttle off at this point. Not all the way necessarily, but about 4 kilometres to go before our next stop at Hyde Park. Now the biggest difference between this loco and the Amtrak one that we rode in the last episode, there's no in-cab signalling for this system. There is ATC. Alright, 2.2 kilometres to go. We should probably throttle back at this point and start to reduce our speed. We've got snowy conditions to contend with as well. You can really see on the front windscreen there the difference between where the windscreen wipers are actually working and where they're not. We need a lot more speed off now. Did we brake too late? I think we did. We've got a long platform to work with though, so we'll just keep the keep it here. We can take a little bit of brake off now. Take a lot more brake off as we've come down nicely in the end. We probably braked too well for our own good, actually. But it's a lot better to come into the platform and over brake than under brake and end out the other end. End up the other end. Go a little bit further to where it wants us to go. And that will do us there. Now, interesting to note here, what I'm going to do to have a look. Okay, we're on a high level part of the platform at the moment, which is only basically where the loco is. And then if we go down here, it's a very low level platform. And the steps that come up, so you go up the steps. Very common in America to have low level platforms even on your commuter services. Close our door. Sit back in the seat. Doors are locked. Brakes are off. Brakes coming off now. Now Route 128, we've stopped there before. So 80 mile an hour speed limit. We're doing 25 at the moment. We've just left the Hyde Park station. We are coming up to a reduction in our speed limit, but we're not actually at the speed limit yet, so that won't necessarily apply to us. See the speed drop shortly from 80 miles an hour down to 60. There we go, it's just dropped to 60. But we're just on 50, so we didn't have to make any adjustments in the speed because we were still getting up to speed. Through the points, that was rocky as. Now we've gone up to 90 miles an hour again. We've still got 2.7 kilometres to go before the station, so we can throttle up a little bit. Try not to outbrake ourselves this time. Alright, so we'll start the throttle back. Make sure we're in idle first. We're going to lose a little bit of speed just by going back to idle, but not much. Now we can start to do our minimum reduction. Start to see the platform shortly. We'll just get fully into it. We're hitting the platform doing 100 kilometres an hour, wow. And we're basically in full service. We've got a long platform to work with. And we braked way too late. Now, let's have a look, before we open the doors, let's actually have a look and see if we've got any of our train on the platform. Oh, we've got some of the train on the platform. What we might do, we'll go in the cab, and what we will do, we will put our reverser into reverse, and we will actually go back. Now, in reality, we'd have the assistance of the conductor probably to do this, in terms of watching out behind us. So there's the platform. So that's much better. We braked way too late. Now, assuming that you've got permission to do all this, actually what we'll do now that we're at a higher level platform, we'll show you the difference. So now we're at a higher level platform. And we can actually see the trapdoor. So if we had to go to a low level platform, the trapdoor comes up. Now, so I'm not sure if that means every car's got a conductor then, because the conductor wouldn't be able to do the whole train. And I don't think that happens automatically. I've never travelled on this system, so... Alright, let's get back in the train. Close our door, get in our seat. Now, a big thing to do is to make sure that you put the reverser back into forward after that. Okay, we'll lock our doors. Alright, we'll get our brakes off. Brakes are coming off. It's trial, error and experience when it comes to this sort of thing. Next station is Canton Junction in 5 kilometres. So we know we're going to be late now. So it's just a matter of driving safely, drive the way you would normally drive. If you pick up any time, that's a bonus. an 8 notch. We're almost at our 45 mph speed limit. So we'll throttle back a little bit. And a bit more. Because we don't have a top green. Need to reduce our speed just a tad. See, the speed limit on the HUD shows us we can do 200 kilometers an hour. The speed limit on the train says we can do 45. That's a big difference, even when you take into account the difference in the units of measurement. You know, 200 kilometers an hour is like 225 miles an hour. That's a big difference between what the HUD's telling me and what the train's actually telling me. And at this stage I'm going with the train. So we are coming up to another yellow signal. We can speed up a little bit. Oh no, we can't. We've got to go back. We've got to reduce speed because it's gone back to 30. So we're doing that now. It should give us some sort of warning that that's coming up. A little bit of throttle, but not much. Haven't got much to work with in terms of this speed limit. You know, there's probably no need, like the station's a kilometre away, but we're only doing 40 kilometres an hour, so there's no need to brake yet. I'm going to increase the throttle a little bit. Now a top red and a bottom flashing yellow is totally alien to me. Now we're going down to 20. Brakes off. And yet the HUD says we can do 200. Switched over. Canton Junction should be coming into view in a moment. There it is. No need to brake yet. So just to confirm, we're idling. Nothing worse than trying to brake when you're actually still powering. Little bit of brake now. And a little bit more. And that's pretty well judged. We'll open the doors, we'll have a look outside. And we seem to have a higher level platform for the loco. So, pretty snowy day in and around Boston. I know some people who like Boston. I know some people who were born there, but I haven't been there yet. It certainly wasn't on the mega top of my list of cities in the US to go to. We'll lock the right hand side doors now. We'll get back in the cab, and we've still got the adventure of using the cab car on the way back. Canton Centre in 770 metres, so we were obviously waiting on that train before we can leave, because we did have a red signal around the corner. Now we've got a restricted signal around the corner. Not a lot of time to get up to speed before our next station at Canton Centre. .30-mile-an-hour speed limit. We're doing 15 at the moment. The speed limit on the HUD's actually returned to something resembling normal. Canton Centre should be coming into view shortly. So another low speed approach. Single line section, that'll do it every time. So there's the station. We are in idle. We're only hitting the platform doing 28 kilometres an hour. Our minimum reduction, our first stage of automatic brake, should pretty much be enough. A little bit more. And That will do us. We'll put a little bit of brake on. We'll open our doors. Oh, we got a level crossing coming up. We're about 5 minutes late. It's not bad under the circumstances. So there's our level crossing right ahead of us. Get ready to lock our doors. Doors are locked. Next and final stop is Staunton. Horn for the level crossing. Brakes coming off. Power going down. This will give us a nice view of the level crossing. Oh, the gates don't come down, that's disappointing. Alright, 30 miles an hour is our speed limit. 5.1 k's is our next stop. And we're really in diesel territory now with no overhead wires to be seen. We're at a 30 mile an hour speed limit, so we'll just throttle back to idle. Again, there's a difference between the HUD, what the HUD's telling me, what the train's telling me. Just because I feel like blowing my horn. Not a high speed section by any stretch by the looks of it. Level crossing. Oh, the boom gates come down for that one. Nice. Going up a little bit of a hill. Another level crossing coming up. Let's see if we can. Oh, the boom gate's come down with that one. Cool. We'll throttle back a bit now. Ah, we've gone back to 20. We have no warning whatsoever, so we have to reduce our speed, which is what we're doing now. Still 2 kilometers to go. So we're right on our 20-mile-an-hour speed limit now. So it'll be a slow, dare I say, a slow speed approach into Stroughton. Just from an outsider looking in, this line would be so good for like a 2 or a 3 car diesel rail motor. Or a diesel rail car rather than a big locomotive haul train. I'm horning more the Australian way than the American way, in case you haven't noticed. Out 16 km/h limit coming up just before the station. We are going up a little bit of a hill. The speed limit change to 16 km/h is coming up. So we'll let the hill do some of our braking for us. And that's exactly what's happened. Okay, station around the corner. The train and the HUD again very different. Now I'm driving to the HUD conditions. No real need to brake at this point. Is that a level crossing the middle of the station? That's very odd. A little bit of brake. Just roll in. A little bit of power. And some brake. And we have arrived. We can unlock our doors. Okay, so now we'll probably turn off our headlights. Alright, set the automatic brake handle to handle off. Handle off. Cut off valve. Cut off valve. Out. The engine run to off. Fuel generator off. Control fuel pump to off. The front. Set the headlights front to dim. Reverser to neutral. Remove the reverser handle. Reverser out. Change ends. Turn the wipers off. There we go. Alright, so now go to the other end. close the door. Our bell's still on. Oh no, that's a level crossing. So we've got this high level platform here. Oh, I've got a few people waiting to go back on the train. Now, I have seen in America in some places in remote areas that are served only by Amtrak that they'll have a level crossing in the middle of the station, but not at a station like this that I've seen. Doesn't mean to say that doesn't happen, but that's rather odd. Some of you people aren't dressed for the weather. Alright. Alright, up the stairs. We don't want to do that, but we do want to close the door. Alright, sit in the engineer's seat. Alright, set the reverser to... Hang on, reverser. We need to key in and go into neutral. Generator field. Where did I see that? Generator field on. Engine run on. EP brake on. Cut off valve. 2 passenger. Headlights. 2 bright. Lock our doors. Along the northeast corridor, more than 2 trains may occupy the same block. When you see a warning signal, proceed slowly and be prepared to stop. That's interesting. Set the reverser to forward. Automatic brake, which we can hear, to release. And apply some power. Our brakes are coming off. Our train is starting to move very slowly. Very slow speed limit to come out of here, plus the advice that we were given there may be another train in the block. I don't see how. Oh now our speed information is all the way up there. That's rather hard to see from a seated position. Right, so we'll turn our wipers on. Hang on. Don't know how that happened. Okay, so now we can go up to 30 miles an hour. It's a real pain in the ass. You have to walk all the way up there to see the speed information. Get with modern trains, America. Now, as I've mentioned before, we won't get any of the engine sounds that we got on the way out because the locomotive is at the back and it's providing all the power and all the noise. So all we can hear is the clickety clack over the track and the wiper. And now the horn. See, I was driving to the HUD, whereas driving to that thing up there, I'm 10 miles an hour over the limit. I shouldn't have to keep on looking up like that. I'm still over just a little bit of brake. Do I have to really look like this for the whole trip? So a little bit of brake on to bring our speed back down. So Canton Centre is our next stop in 2.6 kilometres. We'll release our brakes. Our speed's crept up again. A very slow trip it seems. 1.1 kilometres to go before Canton Centre. Our speed's starting to pick up again, so we'll just do an initial minimum reduction. Bring our speed back down. Doesn't help that we're going down a slight hill. Canton Centre should be coming into view shortly. Station coming up, level crossing coming up, restricted signals against us. Alright, so we'll unlock our doors. So much for our headlights. Oh, they're supposed to be on red. I think that's supposed to be on red. Alright, so we will lock our doors. Release the brakes. Power on. Canton Junction next in just under a kilometre. So 20 mile an hour speed limit despite what the HUD may say. Very slow. We're in 8 knots. Very slow out of here. Seems weird that there wasn't really a signal to tell us to go into the double line section. But I could have misread that wrong. We certainly are taking our time, aren't we? We're at 8 notch, brakes are off. And we're going down a side hill. Canton Junction coming into view. Throttle off. The signal had stopped towards the end of the platform. Low speed approach. Shouldn't really be applying power at this point, but we're just coming so slow. Now the signal's cleared. Our in-cab signalling has shown us that on the left-hand side above the speedo. Currently with a yellow over a green. Alright, we'll unlock our doors. Snow's really starting to come down now. And we're nearly 20 minutes late. Let's get back in the cab. Alright, let's lock our doors. And we're moving off very slowly, but we're moving. 30 miles an hour. We're currently doing 20. And our next stop is Route 128 in about 5 kilometres. Hopefully we can get some decent speed by then. So we're almost at our 30 mile an hour speed limit, so we're just coasting now. At least we got some momentum. Again, the HUD's telling me I can do 200 kilometres an hour, which just simply isn't true, according to the train. They're just creeping up a little bit, so just a minimum reduction in our our speed limit has dropped initially to 20 miles an hour, but before I could do anything it went up back to 30 because the signal ahead changed. So we'll just keep on this pace despite the HUD down the bottom right hand corner telling me I can do 200 kilometres an hour. And then is it only a wonder why you run late? So we're probably following trains. That's probably what it is. So we're just coasting at the moment. We've just got our throttle and idle, doing about 30 miles an hour, which is right on the speed limit. Route 128 to our next station, 1.8 kilometres. Now we've gone up to 90 miles an hour that we can do. Station's in 1.5 kilometres, so let's not get too excited. Back to 45 miles an hour, because the signal is against us. But we've got to stop in 1.2 kilometres anyway, so it's academic really. So we should see Route 128 station coming up very soon. Not going to increase the speed at this point. We'll throttle back. Always important to make sure that you throttle back first before you start your braking. Station coming into view. 69 kilometres an hour, nice. Get some brakes into it. Full service. Not much else we can do at this point. It's coming down nicely. We can start to ease off on the brakes now. Second bite of the cherry coming up. And not too bad under the circumstances. Let's have a look. It's really just our cab off, which no passengers are getting in and out of anyway. Alright, we've got some good lights on now. As an Amtrak train arrives in the opposite direction. Doors are locked. Hyde Park, 5.2 kilometres away. Start getting the brakes off. Brakes are coming off. Let's start the power. Now we've got a signal against us in 130 metres. It's not full clear. But we know we're nowhere near the speed limit yet because we've only just started after our last stop at the station. It's gone to 30, but we're only doing 15, so we'll aim for that. Alright, so we're an 8 notch. Alright, so signal coming up. Back down, or back to 30 miles an hour. Up to 45 miles an hour because the signal ahead of us has changed. Again, the HUD says we can do nearly 200 kilometres an hour. The train itself is telling me I can do 45 miles an hour, which is nowhere near 200 kilometres an hour, even I know that. Right on the speed limit, coming up to another signal, so that might change the speed limit again. It has, back to 30. So we're on our way back down to 30. Another restricted signal coming up right here. So we're still 30 miles an hour. A little bit of brake just to make sure that we stay on that. Signals seem very close together in this section. It's the busier section of line. Now the HUD keeps on teasing me that I can do 193 kilometres an hour, but because the signals are against us and it's in-cab signalling, that doesn't necessarily apply. So we'll just trundle along at our 30 miles an hour that the train's telling us we can do. Hyde Park Station's coming up as well, we need to consider that. We're doing 47 kilometres an hour at the moment, so we're coming in at a good speed, no need to brake yet. Our speed limit's gone up to 45 miles an hour. That's a bit immaterial at this point. A station coming up, make sure that we're in idle, which we are. Our minimum reduction to start with, a little bit more brake. Alright, we'll unlock our doors. Yeah, we've got a clear signal ahead of us when we finish loading our passengers. Starts to take some of the Some of the brakes off, not all of them. Alright, we'll lock our doors. Doors are locked. Ruggles is next in almost 10 kilometres. We can do 90 miles an hour now for the moment. Let's go into 8 notch and see how we go. Might finally be able to do some decent speed on this trip. Just when I think that we can hit some decent speed, we've got a speed limit change again because the signalling has changed, because there's obviously trains ahead of us, so we can only do 45 for the moment. So we'll just stick to this. We are idling, so we're just coasting at the moment. 69 kilometres an hour, nice. Another signal coming up shortly, which might reduce our speed limit again. Their signalling system is more of a speed-based signal than a route-based signalling system. So we can still do 45, so we're just doing close to that. The HUD's telling us we can do almost 200 kilometres an hour, which we could do if we had a clear track ahead of us, but we don't. Okay, down to 30. Again with no warning. So 5 kilometres to go before our next station of Ruggles. Signal ahead of us looks to be clear. Back to 45 for the moment. I don't see that lasting too long. So we'll just stick to what we're doing. Back to 30. See, I didn't see it lasting for too long. That'll help us when we're in an underground section having the cab lights on. So 30 miles an hour again. So it's quite easy to see why I'm 8 minutes plus late. Should have been at Ruggles 9 minutes ago and I'm still not there yet. Just coasting along, slightly going downhill. Two kilometres to go, we can still do 30 miles an hour. We're doing 28 at the moment. And we've got yellow signals everywhere. The scenario did say that you'd lose time on the way back and they weren't kidding. Okay, so we've got a red signal coming up just before Ruggles, so we better get into our brake reduction. It's reduced us down to 20 miles an hour. shut right off. And hopefully by coasting towards this signal at a low speed, hopefully it'll change before we get there, but we will be prepared to stop before it, of course. Uh-oh, what's happened? Uh-oh, this isn't good. My computer has frozen. There we go. Wow, that was some lag. Not what you want when you're coming up to a red signal. Again, you can see a real difference on the front windscreen for where the wiper's working with the snow and where it isn't working, where it doesn't cover. Now, while we might be going slow, it actually doesn't look like we're on the right track. It looks like I'm sitting above. We'll just stop the train. Oh, we're on the middle track. We're on the middle track there, but if you're looking in the cab, because we're so far to the right, it looks really weird. Because I'm so used to being on the left-hand side or in the centre. It just looks really weird that we're so, because we're so far to the right. Okay, signal has changed. So our strategy worked. We can go 30 miles an hour now, although let's not get too excited. I got the station in half a kilometre. Slow speed approach so we can come a little bit later on the brakes. Alright, let's open our doors. Some people are not really dressed for this weather, are they? Alright, let's get it back in the train. Almost finished loading our passengers. Alright, Boston Back Bay in 1.7 kilometres. Not the wrong way. Waiting for our brake cylinders to come off and rebuild the brake pipe, because I did accidentally go into emergency. Well, that took longer than it needed to. Alright, let's go. Alright, let's go. See if we can pick some speed up. The timetable's certainly out the window. now we're going back to 30 miles. I just got up to 45 miles an hour for the speed limit, and now it's gone back to 30 because of signals again. What a pain in the backside. And the station's coming up, so we need to start putting some brakes on. I don't know how it's snowing in an enclosed station like that, but we'll go with it. Although from that view, is it enclosed? Oh, there's a little area up there. Lock it doors. And our destination, Boston South. Brakes are coming off. And we already know from experience this is a slow trip into Boston South. Another long episode, but you really can't help it when the speeds are so slow. Hope you have enjoyed the episode. Next week, we're going to stay in America, but we are going into the world of freight, and we're going to be going to Cane Creek for some Union Pacific action. And then the week after that, I think we'll go back to CSX, because I haven't done that in absolutely ages. So I'll be keen to see what revisions and what changes have been made to that map. 30 miles an hour, so we can increase our speed a little bit. Not by much, because we've just been reduced to 20 miles an hour. Boston South, our next stop. Certainly been an interesting few episodes. The first of first couple of episodes, the first installment of Rush Hour with the German maps, or the German routes to follow, and then the English one after that. But we're going to have some things in between as well. Do intend to go back to Scotland, do some more German routes as well. I haven't done a lot of German routes for a while. And some freight as well, as I mentioned. very slow speed coming into Boston South. So if we remember this approach from the last episode where we came in with Amtrak, we've got a signal coming up in 300 metres, and then that may be the last one. Uh, 15 miles an hour, which is what we're doing. Make sure that we're not powering, we're not. There's our signal, and I believe that's the last one. And a very slow approach, as is normally the case with these terminal stations, especially the dead-end terminal stations. Alright, station coming into sight now. Very slow speed approach. Won't need to power again. We'll barely need to brake. Nice long platform. Little bit of brake. Just took the brake off there. Just applied a tiny amount of brake. And that will do it. We'll unlock the doors. Good work, that's all your tasks for now. Let's see how you did. So I have been relieved. And now we wait. Overall, I think we did pretty well. There was a couple of stations that were a bit, how you doing? I've unlocked some steam achievement down the corner there, down the bottom. But it's certainly an interesting iron. And here we go. Overall, we did pretty well. Gold medal up to level 26 for me. Boston Sprinter level 7, and this particular train level 4. 60 kilometres driven, just over 2 hours, and I walked almost 400 metres. I've been Simulator Dirk, you've been wonderful. We'll see you next time. We'll head to the Union Pacific Metals for some freight. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now. Stay safe out there.